Hello everyone, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's see what's going on for the upcoming week. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what cards we have for the week. We start off with the Three of Pentacles. The next card is the Five of Wands. The Four of Wands. Four of Cups. Three of Cups. The High Priestess. Knight of Cups, which I think we had in the last weekly reading. And here he is again. The Chariot. And then the final card is Five of Cups. Okay, so give me a moment to look this over and tie everything together. Okay, so we start off the reading up here with the Three of Cups. Not the Three of Cups, the Three of Pentacles. So I feel like we're coming into the week and we're kind of thinking about everything that we've done as far as either our career or our relationships or our home life. It's a Suit of Pentacles, so it could be any of those things. And I feel like we're looking at them and we're thinking we should, we should be further ahead. We should be more successful by now. This is a card of, deserving recognition. You want to be recognized for your hard work because you've put in all your time and effort towards something, and you want to see some type of result, and you want to be recognized for everything that you've done. Interesting enough, the next card is the Five of Wands. So I feel like, and something's kind of going on here where we feel that we deserve better than we're getting. And the Five of Wands, it's a very competitive card. So I feel like you might kind of find yourself like clashing with other people, possibly at work. You might kind of hear either you might be getting like a promotion or something like that, or a pay raise. It's going to intimidate people around you, people that perhaps they are the ones in this energy. Perhaps you're actually the one, getting the recognition, and other people are like, why did they get a raise? Or why did they get promoted and not me? Why are they doing better than me? This is what I'm getting from these two cards. It could be at work. or you could be in relationships, you know, with the holidays coming up, you might be in a really, you know, good relationship, and there may be people around you that are not in a good relationship, and they're thinking, you know, why do they have it so good? Why do they have someone and not me? This is just a very competitive card, egos clashing and misunderstandings. And I feel like this is because someone has something and the other person is like, why don't I have that? And then we have the Four of Wands over here. And, you know, this is a card of home and family and relationships. This is a marriage card as well. So this could, you know, tie into what's going on over here. Like I said, part of what's going on might be that you have a good relationship. It's a marriage card, but it could be that you have a very happy marriage and that other people around you are either single, unhappily single, or in a troubled relationship, and they're like, you know, hey, why do they get to be happy and they don't have the nightly argument, and why am I miserable? But this is just telling you, I also feel like, you know, this might also be that you're wanting, you know, you've put in a lot of time and effort towards possibly a relationship. There have been misunderstandings, and again, just like I've been saying, like I feel like every week, this is a solid foundation. This is a marriage card. This is something that's there to stay. This is something solid. Okay, so moving on down here, notice that we go from a 4 and we're still on 4 over here, 4 of Cups. This is the energy of just not feeling like 100% happy, feeling a little bit empty. And again, you know, I always associate this card with like feeling like the grass is greener on the other side. And it kind of reminds me of what's going on up here. So I feel like that's kind of like the energy that we're dealing with, at least for some people. You're kind of feeling like other people are happier than me. Other people have it better than me. And, you know, that's what I was getting from the 3 of Pentacles and the 5 of Wands. Because this is receiving, and then this is kind of like egos clashing and a very competitive card. So I feel like this week, you know, some of you might kind of be eyeballing other people's situations, whether it's career or relationships or their home life, and thinking, I wish I had that. And I feel like it doesn't have to be negative. It might even kind of motivate you to use, you know, that couple, whether it's a marriage or that person, as a role model for you to get the things that you want. And remember, whenever you're not feeling happy, whenever you're kind of feeling like something's missing, your intuition is trying to tell you something. And we do have the High Priestess. So 4 of Cups and then the 3 of Cups. Seeing this, you know, situation going on here, I feel like some of this might be that you feel like you deserve more happiness. You feel like you deserve maybe to have, you know, that marriage, because this is a marriage card and this is a marriage card, and then we have the Knight. They're all kind of like lined up here. You see that? We have 4 of Wands, 3 of Cups, Knight of Cups right here. So you might kind of be feeling like, I'm not, you know, I feel unfulfilled and something's missing. And then you look at everyone around you and they're all, you know, happy and giddy, and you're wondering why not, you know, why am I not receiving that? Like I said, 3 of Pentacles. But it is here. The 3 of Cups. This is happiness. This is good news. This is coming together with family and friends. It's a family card, just like the 4 of Wands. And then you have the High Priestess. They're telling you that you can have those things. You can have, whether it's the career that you want, the, you know, the stability, financial stability. You can have the relationship that you want, but you have to go into this with an open heart and with an open intuition. Like you're being guided either to the perfect partner, to the perfect job, or to the perfect place where you can find stability. This is spiritual energy. So I feel like spiritual energy is helping you to find the happiness or the relationship that you want. And then down here, the Knight of Cups. This is something being offered to you emotionally. Usually the Knight of Cups is offering you love. And considering, you know, that what we have lined up here, I feel like you don't have to worry as far as you missing out on a relationship or feeling like you're going to be single, and then kind of looking at everyone around you and feeling like everyone's happily married or everyone's in a relationship except me. It's here for you as well. But I feel like, you know, you have to kind of pay attention to what Spirit is guiding you to do. I feel like some of you, you're being guided to take specific actions, like you know, your partner is over here, let's say in life, and you're over here, and they're trying to push you in that direction. This is listening to your intuition. So that Knight of Cups is offering you either a relationship, a date, a marriage proposal for those who are already together. This is like a knight in shining armor. And then we have the Chariot. Seeing this together, I feel like they're telling you that there's going to be a lot of change. You know, it's a major arcana. And we don't really have that many in this reading. We only have two. We have the Chariot and the High Priestess. This is success. This is a lot of change and a lot of movement. So I feel like there's going to be movement as far as relationships. But I feel like I said this last week as well. It's going to be up to you, because look at what we have going on down here. Knight of Cups, which is, like I said, something being offered to you emotionally, love, a date, a marriage proposal. A lot of change here. This is change caused by you. This isn't like the Tower where like bang, something just hits you and you have to just accept it. This is because you've done all the hard work. You've been very persistent. I feel like possibly, you know, in your love life. But I feel like this is something you have to act on. It's here. But then, you know, we end the reading with the Five of Cups. And this is a card of heartbreak and loss and emotional pain. So I kind of feel like, oh, this turned into a love reading again, even though I'm going to do a love reading. I feel like for some people, you might be dwelling, this is what I feel like I said this last week, you might be dwelling on something in the past that was very painful to you. Like somebody left you, somebody betrayed you, somebody broke your heart, and you may be, you know, afraid to try again. But, you know, there's love and, you know, relationships, something solid waiting for you. I feel like some of you might be feeling that sense of like, what's missing in my life? You might not even be thinking romance. You just might be feeling like, you know, some of this might be career up here. My career looks good. I have, you know, I have everything financially, you know, I'm being promoted, but why am I not happy? Four of Cups. This is just like a feeling of emptiness. And then kind of like looking at other people and thinking, why are they happy? Possibly like what you're missing, those of you that are not really looking for romance, is that you're missing the love and affection from another person. And for others, you know, you have a career, but you may be kind of looking like, why do other people get to have a life partner, a marriage, and not me? Again, they're telling you, keep your intuition open. I feel like Spirit is guiding you, whether what you need is more stability or a relationship, or you don't even know what you're missing from the Four of Cups. Your intuition is guiding you to take action. I feel like if you don't take action, you're staying in this energy of loss, of heartache. I feel like this is definitely tied. Four of Cups, Five of Cups. You feel like something's missing in your life, but I feel like your intuition and Spirit are guiding you to tell you what that is, and it's up to you to take action because the Chariot is here. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the love reading. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what's going on with everyone's love life. Although, just like last week, I feel like I already did a love reading, but perhaps that reading did not apply to your situation, and this one might. The deck, and I feel guided to take this deck. so the first card is Five of Swords. Seven of Wands. Queen of Swords. Six of Cups. Page of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Wands. Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Wands. Okay, so pretty interesting messages this week. Give me a moment to look this over and tie everything together. Okay, let me start off with people who are married or in a relationship. The first card is the Five of Swords. Not one of my most favorite cards. I've been pulling it for myself for the past few days and I've been like, ew, I don't like this card. But when it comes up, you always have to pay attention. I feel like for those who are in a relationship, there could be something going on, misunderstandings, arguments, especially seeing the Seven of Wands here. I feel like you have to be careful with your partner. This may be, as far as them being honest with you. I feel like I'm getting like, don't let them get away with murder. Especially if you have a partner that's just kind of like very opinionated and it's like my way or the highway. Perhaps it's time, perhaps the whole meaning of the relationship is for you to learn to speak up for yourself because the Seven of Wands is here. You may feel like your partner is stronger than you. Maybe you're afraid of confronting him or her. Maybe you don't want to create arguments, or maybe you're just kind of intimidated by them in some way. This can be negative energy. It could also be that someone is being sneaky and underhanded and that they're kind of sabotaging things behind your back. And you have to stand up for yourself. But this card also means that you're intimidated by your competition, and we did have the Five of Wands in the weekly reading. Not for everyone, but I have to say it. Sometimes the Five of Swords means that there could be someone kind of trying to sabotage your relationship. But either way, you have to kind of stand up for yourself, whether you're standing up to your spouse or you're standing up to someone kind of meddling in your relationship. I'm not saying, that it could be someone trying to come between you. For some of you, if that's the case, you know it. It could be like someone in your family, like interfering with your relationship. You have to kind of say, like, it ends here. This relationship is here to stay. You have the Queen of Swords as well. So I feel like, this queen is very icy. She's very kind of detached. I feel like someone in the relationship, because look what we have here. A sword, Five of Swords, Queen of Swords. And this is mental energy. And we're talking about love here. I feel like someone in the relationship may not be like very receptive to kind of like have a heart to heart. Like, let's just wear a heart on our sleeves and talk about what's going on. And I feel like you still have to open that can of worms. You have to discuss, whatever it is that you're feeling, whether your partner is lying to you or there's something else that you want to bring up. I feel like this is being detached. Like perhaps the person doesn't want to talk about the relationship. They rather not get into all that deep stuff, all that emotional stuff, because this queen does not like emotion. She focuses more on logic and on career. So I kind of feel like you might have a partner that is doing that, or it might be you, but I feel like it's time for things to come out into the open. Okay, now for single people. I feel like I'm getting a different message for you. The Five of Swords, it also means sometimes that you're being your own worst enemy. It doesn't always mean that somebody's sabotaging you behind your back. Sometimes you're sabotaging your own life by doing things that are not for your highest good. It's like a empty victory here. You think like you know, you're doing something positive and you're like, yes, you know, I'm doing all the right things, and then you end up with something you don't like. Seeing the Queen of Swords here, I feel like, you know, some of you may be focusing too much on logic when it comes to relationships. Like, I feel like you may be like set on a specific like type of person. Like, this is the type of person that's going to bring me happiness. Maybe someone who's a lot like you, if you're very career oriented, because she is. Maybe someone who's very mental and you feel like I should be looking for someone who's very analytical and very logical, someone very career oriented. You might be kind of sabotaging your happiness here, because your life partner, your ideal partner, may be someone who's very heart-based and very loving and very giving. And so you may be looking, you know, in the wrong places. And, you know, Seven of Wands is here. So like I said, this doesn't always have to be that you're standing up to someone else. Sometimes this is your ego that you have to stand up to. So you may not want to some of you may not want to be getting involved in relationships. You may just be watching this reading because it just happened to come on after the weekly reading and thinking, I'm not really looking for love. There may be something going on with the past, and we do have a card making a reference to the past, and yeah, I'm already looking down here what's going on. This is for you, what we have going on down here. You may be thinking about the past and thinking like, I don't want to go there again. I'd rather just focus on my career. Or that, or you're being very careful. Nine of Wands. You're being very careful as far as who you let in, and you're looking for like a carbon copy of yourself, and I feel like that's not going to work. I feel like your ideal partner is probably like your polar opposite, completely different person than you. Okay, so moving on to this row here. Okay, let's go back to people who are married or in a relationship. You know, we have a card here making a reference to the past. There could be some things from the past that and see how they're lined up here, the 5 and the 6. It's lined up with the 5 of Swords. So, and then over here, the 9 of Wands, which is a very protective card, a very kind of fear-based card. And this is not so positive energy with the past right here in the middle. There could be something from the past that you don't want to like bring up to your spouse or to your significant other. Again, you're perhaps in some way intimidated by them. You don't want to bring negative energy into the relationship, which is here anyway. So you might as well bring it up. This could be a reference to something that happened last year, a few months ago, a few weeks ago. This is the past. Or this could even be someone from the past that is having some type of impact on the relationship. Like there's an ex in the picture that like won't go away, whether it's you or them. I feel like this is something that you have to look at very carefully, because you have the Page of Pentacles right next to it. The Page of Pentacles is telling you, look at this very carefully. I feel like I said this last week again. I'm not sure, because I do so many readings, I get confused. But I feel like they want you to, this is about learning, examining things, studying things very carefully. I feel like study your situation, your relationship, to see that it is what you want, and that your spouse is who they appear to be, or who you want them to be. I feel like you have to think about this very carefully. I feel like you have a lot to learn, not in a negative way, but I forgot to say, not in a negative way, but I feel like you have a lot to learn about perhaps your partner's past, or you still have a lot to learn about the relationship if you're just like in a new relationship. 9 of Pentacles for you. So this is about self-reliance and independence. And this is a card that basically says that you don't need another person to succeed. You don't need another person to make you happy. So perhaps for some of you, this energy from the 5 of Swords is that maybe you're losing yourself too much in a relationship. You're giving too much to another person. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does become a bad thing when you start to lose a part of yourself, because I feel like this is all about like seeing yourself as strong and powerful. And like I said, this means that you're intimidated in some way by your partner. You feel they're stronger than you, or you're afraid to really speak your mind. You're holding yourself back. This is telling you that you have to study things very carefully, because they don't want your personal power, your inner fire kind of dimmed because of the person you're in a relationship with. Like, that is not the purpose of the relationship. I feel like you can be very independent and very successful on your own, so don't hold back. This might even be like for women especially, that you're actually more successful on your own than with your partner. Like, for those of you that are like stay-at-home moms, this might be encouraging you to go find your own path. It doesn't mean leave your spouse, but earn your own money and see yourself as independent. Don't rely on him or her too much. Okay, so going back, single people. I feel like for you, obviously same thing, 6 of Cups. You're thinking about the past. You're thinking about the past, and I feel like in some way, 5 of Swords, 6 of Cups, in some way the past is kind of sabotaging your love life right now. Like I said, 9 of Wands right here. It's all lined up. I feel like in some way, like, you're very kind of cautious about who you let into your life, and I feel like this is working against you, because you might be letting in all the wrong people because you're being very logical. 5 of Swords, Queen of Swords. You're being very logical. You're thinking, this person is exactly like me. We do the same thing for a living, same lifestyle. Sounds safe, so I'll let them in. And again, I feel like you're looking for someone completely different. The past, some type of past situation, something painful perhaps, is affecting your choices, the choices that you make in relationships. Again, they're telling you here to be very careful, kind of analyze your situation. If you are kind of, looking for that type of partner where you're looking for a carbon copy of yourself, ask yourself, is this making me happy? Like, at the end of the day, is this, really what I want? Like I said, the 5 of Swords, usually it's an empty victory. You get what you want, and then you're staring at what you want and thinking, like, why did I even want this to begin with? I feel like you have a lot to learn about yourself when it comes to your love life. I feel like you may not even know exactly like who you're looking for. I feel like your life partner or your next relationship is, again, like your polar opposite. You don't even know what you're looking for, so be very careful. I feel like you have a lot to learn. And then, the 9 of Swords doesn't really change much from what I said as far as the married people in a relationship. But for you, it's a card of independence, and I feel like some of you might kind of be worried about your independence and doing your own thing when you're in a relationship. I know that I said this last week. I know I'm getting a sense of deja vu. And if, we did have the 9 of Pentacles last week, then that is a huge message. You might be worried, because you're definitely worried. It's all over this reading, that in some way being in a relationship is going to cramp your style. That everything's going to change in a negative way, but I feel like it's not. What you're fearing is not going to happen. If anything, we're ending down here with the 10 of Cups. You get exactly what you always wanted. This is happiness and fulfillment, but there's a lot of worries about being in a relationship. You feel like you're going to lose yourself. It's kind of, it's lined up here with the Queen of Swords, and like, look at the story here. Queen of Swords, like I said, she focuses more on career. She's more kind of like worried about climbing the corporate ladder. Let me just focus on my career and money. And again, this is being very independent and focusing on acquiring material possessions. And then down here, this is just kind of like completely like burned out. So you may be, on some level, you may know already that you're burned out from like climbing the corporate ladder, trying to accumulate as much money as you can. You're tired of that. You're feeling a little bit empty, which we had in the weekly reading. It's definitely time for change. Okay, so going back here, people who are married or in a relationship, I feel, nine of Wands. We already talked about this. I feel like something's going on where you're very protective of your relationship. Some of you may have already had a time where you had to have time apart. You may have had time apart, or there may have been like, arguments in the past. And this might, like I said, this might be affecting, you being honest and speaking your mind from the 7 of Wands. You don't want to do, you're feeling like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to open up that can of worms. Yet something from the past and something not so positive is here. But I feel like you're trying to hold on to what you have. And because of that, you're not being really open. I feel like you have a lot to learn. You have a lot to learn from being detached emotionally. I mean, look what we have here. The Knight of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. This is, being very protective and very defensive. This is fear-based. This is telling you have a lot to learn. And this is being very detached. So I feel like emotionally, I feel like someone's being very detached emotionally, and you have kind of a lot to learn about each other and the relationship. The Ten of Cups is here. And so I feel like, you, as long as you're being like honest with each other, you're talking about things, you're getting things out in the open, you don't really have a lot to fear. Sorry, I accidentally moved the cards here. Nine of Wands, Ten of Wands. I feel like you're very protective and defensive, and at the same time you're like burned out. You may even be like burned out from arguments. You may be burned out from trying so hard to make things work. But in the end here, you have the Ten of Cups right in the middle. So I feel like let your guard down a little bit, and you may have to help your partner do this as well. Kind of get things out in the open. Whatever issues from the past are there, like talk about them, get rid of them, learn what you need to learn. I feel like it's a learning process. But this is a happy family. It's, the Ten of Cups is not only a happy relationship, but it's a happy family. It's like a happily ever after. But I do feel like you're tired, you're fed up with something here. Now for single people, I feel like you're protecting yourself. Nine of Wands. You're protecting yourself because of something from the past with the Six of Cups up there. But I feel like because you're being so protective of yourself, perhaps like not dating, or you're trying to date a carbon copy of yourself, you're being your own worst enemy. You're sabotaging your own life, your love life, without even knowing. So this is fear. I feel like there's a lot of fear regarding relationships. You don't want to let in the wrong person. And just like I said to the married people in relationships, this is an energy of being burned out, just kind of like burned out and overburdened. And I feel like for some of you, you just may be like burned out as far as like thinking about romance, because maybe you've tried so many times with different partners, it didn't work out. I feel like all of those things, I mean, look what we have in the middle. Page of Pentacles. This is a learning experience. So whatever issues you did have in the past, maybe you had dishonest partners, relationships that did not end well. This all has you kind of fed up and just kind of like, blah, I'm done. I don't want to look anymore. But I feel like you need to kind of let your guard down. There was a lesson to be learned, and I feel like they're trying to get you to see that there is something waiting for you here. Ten of Cups. If you're looking in the right direction, this is possibly your life partner. This is your next relationship. This is something solid. This is not just a date. So I feel like for those of you who are single, Spirit is guiding you to someone that is really going to be there for the long run. This is something very solid. It could be your life partner or someone you spend a lot of time with, many years, that helps you grow. I feel like they help you kind of move past this fear-based energy, relationship phobias. I don't know. I just kind of, there's a lot of fear in this love reading, but at the heart of it, there is like a learning experience here with the Page of Pentacles. You have a lot to learn about love. So I feel like if you're watching this video thinking like love, like, no, I'm done with that. You still have a lot to learn about yourself and the people who are going to be coming into your life. Oh, right here in the middle. You have to stand up to possibly, single or married. I feel like you may have to stand up either to other people. You may have to stand up to your own ego and see yourself, as worthy of a relationship. You have a lot to learn. And here's exactly what, you've been looking for. Okay, everyone, this has been your weekly reading. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will speak to you again soon.